Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the SWBL podcast. My name is Sam Skibbe, commissioner of the SWBL. This is the first podcast we have had since Memorial Day, really, and since the announcement of Memorial Day came out that we weren't playing then, and the announcement in July that we were not playing in July, and we are finally moving to Labor Day. One of the great things that came out of not having a season on Labor Day, and there's a lot of negatives, but one of the big positives was we had the first ever summer wiffle ball league in over a decade for the SWBL. And I am pleased to be joined by two of our guests. They have never been on an SWBL podcast before. We're excited to get some new voices, some new faces to the SWBL podcast series. And I'm so excited to introduce you to both of them. We have today with us, we have Cole Layton, and Cole Layton is a rookie in the SWBL this year, but not a stranger to wiffle ball by any means. He has many championships with the Knee Bucklers of Yellow Bats, our kind of brother league right now in Missouri. And Cole played in our summer league, and it was his first taste of SWBL play. He has seen the season run before, and he is the brother of Cam Smith, who played on the SWBL Astros last year. Cole, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, guys. How are we doing today?
Thank you very much. And we also are joined by, at this point, you really got to call him a veteran. He's been around for quite some time with the SWBL Expos. He started off a little slow in his career, but it seems like every single year, Matt Germer, or as many lovingly call him the Germworm, and Matt Germer is getting better every single year, becoming a better fielder, hitter for the SWBL Expos. And we're excited to be joined with him today for the SWBL podcast. Matt, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Sam. Good to be here.
Indeed. And guys, you both played in the summer league this year, and SWBL actually started as a summer wiffle ball league. That's what the S stood for in our SWBL acronym, was Summer Wiffle Ball League. And you both played a part of that. And Cole, we'll talk to Matt first, but Matt, your team was the 55ers, and you were with your teammate Jimmy. You were with Peter Light from the Brewers, Blake Spencer from the Rockies, and Steve Edelman was your rookie on your team. And quite a squad you guys had from the get-go. And you have one of the most dominating pitchers and two of the most dominating hitters in the SWBL history. But the 55ers, congratulations, Matt. You won the championship. And we were so excited that the 55ers came out. They were the number 2 seed after the regular season, and they pitched great, hit great to win the championship. Matt, how did it feel to get your first taste of championship flavor for the SWBL?
Well, obviously, we worked all of our careers up to this point, so it was really nice to finally get one of those rings. And I know the Expos will be hungry to get another taste of that come up in early September here.
Yes, definitely. And, Jimmy Nelson was your workhorse all summer league long. And Peter Light had some innings pitched, and Blake even had a few innings pitched as well. But Jimmy pitched more innings double than any other pitcher in our league, and more than doubled any strikeout total as well. And he was actually named our playoff MVP. So congratulations to Jimmy, our only individual award we are giving out for Summer League. Jimmy is the winner of that. Without him, you got to believe the 55ers do not make it that far. Would you agree, Matt?
I would definitely agree. Jimmy was the workhorse. He was the ace of the staff. He really carried us in a lot of those games. Even in the championship game, I saw Blakeser out in the outfield with his arms crossed because he knew nothing was coming out there. So it was good to have him on the squad, and it was glad he got MVP.
Yeah, definitely. And Cole, we'll move on to you in the summer league, and your hot tub club team dominated the entire regular season. You were led by kind of your makeshift captain in Scott Poley, and Scott Poley was a monster at the plate. And there were so many people that were pleasantly surprised with your bat as well. And that was a great number 2 bat for Scott to have on his squad. And then you also had one of the biggest surprises of the summer league, in my opinion, a really big breakout for him. And he's had some breakouts before, but this, I think, was his kind of big party, coming out party. And that was Patrick Gaddy. And Patrick, PG as we call him, he had a great season for you guys and kind of helped lead the charge on the mound and give you guys 3 big bats for your team. So you guys were the regular season champions, but then lost in the first round, your first playoff matchup against the pesky Pine Trees and Spencer Bogat on the mound. Pesky Pine Trees won the wild card against the Bombay Bombers and then faced you guys and then ended up beating you. So is it bittersweet? You know, it's a great win for the regular season. You're the number 1 seed, but it's got to leave a bitter taste in your mouth in the playoffs, getting out the first round.
Yeah, we definitely weren't happy with that first round exit. We rode the bats all the way through with all those wins in the regular season, all the way through our lineup. We just couldn't hit. Spencer kept the ball low, and we couldn't hit the ball out like we did in the regular season. But, yeah, you're right. PG led us on the mound, helped us out with the bat. And also BK always on the field with his hands making plays, and also another good bat too that helped us all the way.
You guys relatively did this all season long with just 4 players. Your 5th player, Chris Oberlor, who was only there for 2 of the games, and you guys had, your 4 guys that really worked hard the entire season to get you to the number 1 seed. But yeah, it was a tough loss in the first round, and that's kind of Spencer's MO with his pitching, is he always keeps it low, and he definitely was effective against you guys with he added a little bit more miles per hour based on the little speed gun rules that we were doing, and it was really effective keeping the ball low at that speed he was at. So congratulations again goes out to Matt's team, the 55ers. Summer League was a huge success. And guys, one thing we wanted to do is we wanted to recognize, the front office always does awards and things like that, but we wanted to recognize 4 players from each side of the ball when it came to Summer League. We didn't want to just give 1 award out for MVP or 1 award out for Cy Wiffle. We wanted to give 4 awards out. We want to thank the big sponsor for our Summer League, and that is Andy's Frozen Custard. They are our first-year sponsor for the SWBL, and we hope that they stick around. What's better after Summer League than going out and getting a nice concrete from Andy's Frozen Custard on Manchester Road, or in Kirkwood as well, the Kirkwood location close to the Blur as well. But Andy's Frozen Custard was always a big staple of mine when I was down at college at Missouri State University down in Springfield, and we're so glad that they made their way up to St. Louis, and one of my favorite places to get frozen custard here in St. Louis for sure. But they sponsored a Player of the Week, and now they're going to sponsor not only our playoff MVP that Jimmy got, but everybody got a free custard, frozen custard concrete for everybody that won one of those awards. But here is to reveal our all Summer League teams. We have an all hitting team, 4 players, and an all pitching team. So I'll reveal those to you guys, and you're going to let me know if, that sounds about right, or if there's any snubs from this list that you guys can think of. First, we'll start with our all hitting team. Our all-hitting team had, from the 55ers, Scott Poley. And only playing 6 games, Scott Poley would have, if he played 8, probably broken all the records and been the leader in home runs, RBIs, and everything. Another player that only played 6 games was myself from the Bombay Bombers. Possibly, I don't want to put my teammates down in any way, but they got to have a kick in the pants sometime. But I had just as many RBIs as my entire team combined. So we will just put it out there for that. But so Scott Poley, myself, and then 2 freeze pops in Cam Smith and Brett Spencer, both making the list for all hitting teams. And these are guys on all 4 of them are on different teams coming the SWBL season 18. But is there any other hitters that stood out to you guys, or does this sound about right? These 4 definitely deserved it.
Well, I mean, I feel like Pete should be on that list. Pete was, I think he might have led the league in batting average.
He was very close. He was in the top 5 for sure.
Doesn't hit too many home runs, but he gets on base a lot, and we saw a little bit of that power in the playoffs that helped us out a lot. So I was thinking maybe Pete, and I mean, obviously Jimmy didn't have a great season at the plate this year. A lot of strikeouts, a couple looking strikeouts on floater, so a little
very upset about
that
those
from the 5th side. Yep. But I would definitely say Pete should potentially be on that list.
That's a good point as well. And Peter consistently keeping that batting average, and he has said himself his power numbers have gone down. So his dad's strength is happening in contact and not so much the power numbers. Cole, any other additions you think you can add?
The only other one that comes to mind is like Kevin Poley. I feel like he came up with some big hits in their, especially in the playoffs there, getting them through us and that wild card game. I know he came up late in the game and always counted on a hit, and he came up with
Definitely Scott is seen as more of the offensive pulley, and he has more hits. But I tell you what, that playoff, Kevin showed that he hits just as hard as his brother and hits some monster home runs for the Pesky Pine Trees to get them to the final. So those are both great ones. Definitely well deserved all around. Many hitters that couldn't make the list, but these were the four for the all hitting team: Scott, myself, Cam, and Brett. Let's move on to the all pitching team, and I can think of one possible snub or surprise. We'll see if you guys get it first. If not, I'll explain that too. But the four players we have for the all pitching, you got to obviously put Jimmy Nelson at the top of that list. Everybody knew his name was coming. 40 strikeouts in the regular season. He had more wins than everybody by double, more strikeouts by over double, and a sub-5 ERA, which is hard to do in a medium-style league. So Jimmy Nelson, also with a sub-5 ERA was Patrick, PG, Getty as well from the Hot Tub Club. And then you have from the Pesky Pine Trees, Jeremy Worrell. His big coming out party definitely will be the number 2 for the SWBL Astros, and we'll get to that a little bit later when we talk about the teams. But congratulations to Jeremy for making the list. And the only person that made both lists was Brett Spencer of the Freeze Pops. Brett had not as of a dominant season in Summer League as he normally does, but he also proved it, still went 4-0 during the regular season for his team and got the wins when they mattered most. So any names stick out to you, Matt, that should be on this pitching list, or is that about right?
Well, I mean, I don't know who I would put in there, but I definitely think Brett should not be on that list. I saw him give up multiple home runs. I think he had a 12 runs against inning. I also think Jeremy had a pretty good season. I think the league should probably take a look at his beard length. It's extremely distracting for the hitters while they're at the plate, and possibly test him for PEDs such as Rogaine on the chin.
Sure.
Coming up for the next season.
Yeah, definitely. You should wait till you see Brian Benware's beard, his captain for the Astros. Those Astros are going to be sporting some big beards this year.
And I would say PG was extremely difficult to hit, I thought. And
yes,
I would for sure not want to bat against him. So
yeah, PG and Jimmy, were the definites for that list, and then Jeremy and Brett adding in. But Cole, any other pitchers you see that should have possibly made this list?
I'm going to go with my teammate Scott. I think he pitched pretty well. Obviously PG was our 1, but yeah. Scott did not disappoint in that 2-hole and helped us get to that number 1 seed. Threw quite a bit of innings and kept us in the game, and we won a lot of games.
Yeah, there are the number 2 pitcher, not only in Summer League, but also in the SWBL regular season is super important position. If you don't have a good number 2, then that can almost guarantee those losses during those innings or during those games that they pitch. So yeah, having a good number 2 is important. And that's why we tried to even out the teams as much as possible at the beginning of the year when we did our random draft. Was we wanted every team to have 2 solid pitchers that they could rely on. So Scott was definitely that number 2 for you guys. My big snub on this list was probably Kyle Cornell. He was the only other pitcher on this list that had a sub-10 ERA. Brett was just over 10 on his ERA, and Kyle would have rounded out that list as the only other sub, but he just didn't have enough to make the list. He didn't have enough games pitched and enough innings pitched. So Brett, just that 4-0 record is too hard to pass up, and Brett got the wins when it counted. Even if he did give up 18 runs in one game, he still got the win in that game. So that is our all summer league teams. Congratulations to the 8 players. They will also be receiving a concrete courtesy of Andy's Frozen Custard. And Andy's, we can't thank you so much for doing that with us. You guys, I'm going to move on. It's been a great – Summer League was great, and I'm sure there might be some suggestions that people might have, or some glaring things that, yeah, we need to change this rule up, or power menu was too strong. We shouldn't be batting lefty that many times, or maybe we make it more expensive so it's used less. But is there anything that sticks out in your brain? There might be nothing. Maybe it was great, but is there anything that sticks out in your brain that we want to think about switching for next year? Matt, we'll start with you.
Well, it was nice to kind of, with the draft and everything, to play with some different players. Unfortunately, everyone on my team was pretty cool. I can't say that about all the other teams personally, but it was also nice to not necessarily have to field.
Yeah.
Kind of a switch up, probably not permanently for the tournament, but that was a good addition. Overall, I think it went really well, and it was nice to get out of the COVID environment, get outside and get around some people. So it was very enjoyable, I thought.
Yeah, and we want to thank everybody for socially distancing as much as possible, and coming for your games only, and make it a doubleheader league, so it made it a little bit easier for people to swallow coming for those 2 games and then leaving afterwards. So, Cole, any other changes you would make for next year?
I don't think I really have any changes. I just thought it went really well. I had a good time, especially me being a rookie. I didn't know many people. I knew a couple, but I didn't know many people. It was nice to meet everybody and kind of get my foot in the door for this next upcoming season.
Definitely, Cole, and I can tell you made a splash when it came to our league with your bat this year, and I know many teams have been salivating at the mouth trying to get another bat like that for many years. So it'll be interesting to see your next couple years and the off seasons that happen with free agency. So let's move on.
One of the only things I would change is possibly moving up second base, so we have a straight baseline from second to third as far as fielding from the line goes.
That is true. We will be fixing that before season 18. Don't you worry. It doesn't matter as much for season 18 because as long as it's 45 feet away, we're still good. What line it's at. But yes, definitely for next year we will have to figure that out. The line was a little lopsided for sure. Good suggestions all around. Thank you again to Andy's Frozen Custard, and let's move on to season 18, guys. And this is a different year than any other year we've had in the SWBL. And I know, Cole, you came to watch last year, and Matt, you've been around for a few years now. So you've seen exactly how incredible this weekend is based on a camaraderie standpoint and the fans and having families come and any significant others, kids of all of our players. It's a great family and community atmosphere that unfortunately this year we will not be able to have. This year's sole focus is going to be on the plastic bat and the plastic ball. It is the game we play and the game we love. And that's why everybody voted in that participation survey that, we still want to play. And it's exciting to see that the players still want to play the game. But unfortunately, we're going to miss all of our fans this year due to COVID-19. But there are many regulation changes. But we are so excited to bring to you live streaming via YouTube or Facebook Live. And we will have as many live games as we can to our fans, our families. Even our players will not be able to stick around. And I just want to make that clear to our fans and our families that even our players aren't sticking around. We're doing scheduling blocks that they will be there for a certain amount of time, and then they'll have to go back to somebody's house and hang out and then come back as a team. So we're keeping everybody safe. We want to keep everybody as socially distanced as possible with as little contamination and crossover with other people as we can. So thank you to everybody for following our COVID rules, but we're excited to get back out there for season 18 and get a season in. And then, hey, we only got to wait 7 months and then we're back at it for season 19 instead of 12 months. So it'll be great. Speaking of YouTube and following us, we want to get to 1,000 subscribers by opening day. We got 2 weeks left. We're doing really well, but we still got to make that last push. So if you haven't subscribed yet on every single one of your Gmail accounts, I subscribed on all 5 or 6 of mine that I've done. So if you can get out there and subscribe on your Gmail accounts, we'd love to have 1,000 subscribers by opening day. Some big changes that were made, mainly going to go with the teams, guys. And I know you guys heard this. There was a YouTube announcement that came out. You can check out that YouTube announcement that I made just a couple days ago. And it went through and talked about the team changes. We will not have the SWBL Diamondbacks in attendance this year, and we will miss Trent and all those guys from Minnesota. We had the Bombay Bombers as the team name in honor of them, and it'll be a quieter and a little bit sadder of a season with not the mini games that'll be around from the Diamondbacks, but they will be back in 2021. And 2 other teams that will not be making a full appearance will be the SWBL Athletics and the SWBL Royals. Unfortunately, 2 of the members of each of those teams could not be there. So the first announcement I will make is 2 players from the Royals and 2 players from the A's will be joining together. That is myself and my brother Gus, and we will be joining with Paul Castellano and Steve Hayes to create the SWBL Braves. And we had players lined up. Cole, you were one of them that was going to play for the Royals this year. We had you signed, and we thank you for your flexibility in jumping to a different team for this year just so we could make sure we had everybody playing. So, Cole, you'll be headed to the SWBL Astros, and we'll get to that in a little bit later. And you'll be joining your brother, which I know he was very excited about as well. And then another new team that we had to join, that would put us at 7 teams, and 7 teams is just a nightmare to schedule for, I'll tell you, fellas. So we went to 8 teams, 2 divisions, And the newest team for the SWBL is the SWBL Marlins. And not the new school Marlin logo. I'm talking the old school teal and black logo. That's what they're going with. And it is the youngest players in the SWBL right now. It is the brother-in-law of Peter Light, and also good friends with the former athletics player Luke Bakula. Luke will not be in attendance this year, but four of his really good friends, Parkway South graduates as well, will be in attendance this year as the SWBL Marlins. They will have 4 to 5 players on their team throughout the weekend. And Eli Erickson, who is the brother-in-law of Peter, will be captaining that team. They do not have any SWBL experience, and I'm not sure about their wiffle ball experience as well, but I know they have some baseball experience, so it'll be interesting to see what they bring to the table this year for the SWBL Season 18. So the front office, fellas, does a preseason awards watch and a preseason power rankings, and actually nobody else in the league except for myself knows them right now. Not even the front office who voted on them. I did not even give them the results of their voting. We have 5 voting members on the front office, including Scott Poley, Brett Spencer, Spencer Bogad, Peter, and Gus are our front office voting members. And myself and Kevin Poley are not voting members, but the other 5 are. We break ties if needed. But those 5 members voted on the preseason awards and preseason power rankings for this season coming up. We did vote on these on Memorial Day, but again, with all the changes, we're moving on. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go through the top 3 for the 4 big awards of the season, and then anybody else that got some votes as well. And I want you guys to tell me, did anybody get snubbed, anything like that? And I'm going to switch off between each award. So Cole, I'll have you start with MVP. Then Matt, I'll have you talk about Cy Wiffle. Cole, talk about Rookie of the Year. And then Matt, you're going to talk about our Platinum Hands Awards. So kind of trading off there. But Cole, we'll start with you. And for everybody out there, here is the preseason awards watch for the SWBL MVP for season 18. We'll start with the number 3 MVP award watch. You know what? Never mind. I'm just going to give you the number 1 right away. Here it goes. The number 1 voted MVP was Scott Poley. Scott Poley has been crushing the ball as of late in the offseason and in Summer League. And Scott Poley got a couple number 1 votes from our front office, and Scott Poley will be the number 1 MVP, followed by Blake Spencer making a return to the SWBL MVP race. And in past years, he has been batting with 5 players. So this year going to 4 players will probably boost Blake's stats a lot and give him that MVP race run. And then our number 3 is Gus Skibbe, who will be our number 3 MVP voted on by the front office. Other people that got votes were Spencer Bogad, our reigning MVP, PG, and myself all received other votes that will be a part of the MVP race. So, Cole, looking at this list, a lot of big names and a lot of big names from Summer League as well. But is there anybody you would have added, or who would be your number 1 pick for MVP, et cetera? Whatever you want to talk about. MVP race. Go ahead.
I'm going to say I like the Scott at number 1, just from seeing him, playing with him in the summer. Every game, he could definitely hit the ball better than a lot of people. So definitely a solid number 1. I also, getting votes, I like the PG vote, just him showing pitching this year in the summer. He'll be able to pitch, and he can obviously hit too. So that'll be a big boost for them.
Yeah.
I think that's about it. I don't have any other.
You got to wonder, Spencer Bogad only receiving 1 vote from the front office, and he's the reigning MVP. He's been one of the more dominant hitters as of late, but he had a rough summer league when it came down to it. And you think that had anything to do, Cole, with his only 1 vote for the MVP?
I could see it, but I feel like with COVID and everything, it's like stuff's changed. So like I can definitely see how, especially with Brett or Blake getting less or more bats now. Sure. He's jumping up there. And I mean, like I said, you got to stick with Scott up there at 1. So I could definitely see him being 3 right there. So, for
Spencer Bogad to win the MVP, he's only going to be playing 6 games this season for the Twins. So for Spencer Bogad to win MVP, I forgot to say that earlier, but for him to win MVP, he's going to have to go off those 6 games. And with, some averages come into play, average home runs per game or average home runs per at bat. But most of the time it's going to be those statistics that get you those high rankings for the MVP. So let's move on to Cy Wiffle. And Cy Wiffle has, throughout the years, we've had many different winners in the franchise era with this award. Most recently, Brett Spencer is the reigning Cy Wiffle Award winner and moved to your team, Matt, in the Expos. And it was a big offseason acquisition by Captain Kevin Wheatucker. And Kevin and Brett are both founding members of this league, along with myself and Peter's middle brother, Andrew Light, as well. And so having Kevin and Brett team back up, and that gives you an outstanding 1-2 punch for your pitchers. And you only need 2 pitchers in this league, and you might have 2 of the best. But that's going to be a formidable lineup, or formidable rotation, excuse me. But let's go through the Cy Wiffle, and there is no surprise here. The front office voted number 1, Jimmy Nelson. They've seen enough at Summer League. They've seen enough in Jimmy Nelson's knuckleball. Has only gotten better. He is our number 1 for Cy Wiffle. Followed closely by Jackson Crosley from the Yankees. He did not play in Summer League, but Jackson has consistently been pitching well for the Yankees as their ace and has recently won a Cy Wiffle as well. And then number 3, another Expo, Brett Spencer. So 2 Expos on the same rotation in the Cy. It's unheard of that 2 people from the same rotation would be on the Cy Wiffle. But if there's any 2 guys that can do it, it's these 2, which has got to bode well for the Expos in their rankings. And then 3 other players receiving votes were PG, Will Rath from the Twins, and myself. So 6 guys again getting votes. But I know, Matt, you're probably going to say, yep, this list is about right, or maybe Brett needs to be number 2. But is there anything that you would change about this list, or who would be your number 1, or anybody you would add?
I mean, I don't think so. I think in the past, Jimmy's been let down by the Expos fielding. We've been running some drills in the off season with throwing eggs around in our backyards and stuff, and we've kind of developed some better hand skills out there. So hopefully that should be an improvement this year. One sleeper I'm thinking here is maybe Breida Filter. He obviously with the departure of Brett from the Rockies, he's going to be logging some more innings.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that turns out. I mean, he's obviously going to have to play a bigger role on that team and probably become the ace of that staff. So we'll see how that goes for him.
You know, you are definitely right. With Brett gone, he has to become that ace. And Blake's arm has slowed down considerably in his years in the SWBL. But you got to believe that a combination of Breida and Blake is going to be their 1-2. And or even BK got some innings this summer. So Breida's got to step up, and that's a great sleeper pick in my opinion as well. So congratulations to Jimmy Nelson for getting that number 1. There hasn't been an Expo that has been a number 1 for the Cy Wiffle, and now there's 2 in the top 3. So it's going to be an exciting year for Expos baseball for sure. All right, let's go on to Rookie of the Year. And Rookie of the Year has different context this year because there are no rookies from out of town. You know, usually there's rookies that are from out of town that kind of come in and compete for that Rookie of the Year award in our league. Our league is so much different than all their leagues, so we include them even though they have wiffle ball experience. In the franchise era, there have only been about 3 different players that haven't been from a different state that have won the Rookie of the Year award. Most notably last year, Corey McCarthy from the Royals won not only the SWBL Rookie of the Year, but the National Rookie of the Year award went to Corey McCarthy. So big shoes to fill as well. But there are a bunch of rookies this year because we have an entire team of the Marlins as rookies. So there's 4 or 5 players right there that are rookies that can compete for this award, as well as we have Michael Patterson, who will be joining the Rockies as their number 4 in the absence of Grant Boyd. Grant Boyd possibly could make a Sunday or Monday appearance, but Mike Patterson is going to be filling in for that 4th role and will make a big splash, I think. His brother Matt has played in the SWBL before, but never had Michael before, so we're excited to have Mike Patterson in there. And then, Cole, it leads me to you. You are the number 1 unanimous selection for Rookie of the Year award for the SWBL this year. And I think obviously that has a lot to do with the Summer League, followed by Michael Patterson, and then 2 others getting votes were Josh Anthony and Eli Erickson of the Marlins. So Cole, and it's got to feel good obviously, but you on this list definitely have the most experience. And worried to live up to this? Are you worried about playing time to live up to this? Like, what are your concerns with it? But even with the possible lack of playing time, or maybe batting 5, or maybe batting only half a season or 6 games with the Astros, who knows what the lineups are going to be? Or maybe it's a situation you have to prove yourself, but do you think you'll still have enough time in place to give that Rookie of the Year award some justice?
Yeah, you're definitely putting all the pressure on me doing that decision stuff, but I'm excited for the challenge. Like you said, obviously with COVID, I'm helping out the Astros. Like, they already have 4, so I definitely am the 5th. So it's going to be tough to get at bats. Definitely first couple games, just hopefully prove myself and keep getting the at bats, and I'll try to win it.
Definitely. And Brian is a captain that has given opportunities to many players, and he has been trying to find his core guys, and he has found it. He has started to find his core, and Cam, your brother, is a member of that core, and he had big Rookie of the Year expectations last year. He didn't come away with the award because Corey had a fantastic year at the plate, but Cam was definitely – he is now a cornerstone of that franchise, and he was very excited to have you. And I don't think you'll have any problem proving yourself at the plate when it comes to getting those opportunities, but it'll be interesting to see what Brian decides. Does he go and bat 5 because he sees what you can do, and he just bats 5 and make sure that you get the at-bats that you need, and then maybe later on when it gets down to crunch time or important games, maybe they go to 4. So I think it'll be a situation where people are going to have to prove themselves in the Astros, but I think that's what makes teams exciting and makes teams better, is that competition. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, 100%. It's going to be fun watching the Marlins, see what they can do.
Yeah, for sure. And it's such a different year with COVID and all these changes, and then all these off-season acquisitions from all these teams and people getting better. This is by far the most competitive year we have ever had in the SWBL. And even though the power rankings, which we're about to reveal in a little bit, the power rankings might not reflect some of the ceilings for some of these teams, because this is mainly a floor for these teams, and everything else could be sky's the limit for any of these franchises, and nobody has any idea who's going to walk away with the championship. Nobody has any idea who's going to be your 5 teams in playoffs. This is going to be a race to the finish for sure, an exciting year. So let's move on to our last award, and Matt, I'll move back to you. You talked about the Expos in fielding, and it's been a big downfall for the Expos in the past. And fielding errors and fielding mishaps and slow to the ball has been a problem for the Expos. But there are a lot of teams that have that cornerstone left fielder, and that is so important for a team. You got to look at the past champions of this league who has won, and they have had the same left fielder every single time that's gone out there. And this list I'm about to tell you is no surprise probably, but the number 1 selection for the front office for the Platinum Hands Award is Chris Metter of the Twins. He has more fielding awards than anybody in the entire country when it comes to wiffle ball, whether it's from his own league, nationals, whatever it might be. Definitely the most sought-after fielder and most accolades out of any fielder in wiffle ball history, in my opinion. And then followed closely by BK of the Rockies. BK has consistently gone toe-to-toe with Chris Metter, trying to win the Platinum Hands Awards, and the only 2 people that have won it in the past more years than I can count. And then rounding out the 3rd is Peter Light. We'll be rounding out the 3rd for the Brewers. And then the only other person receiving votes, so that can tell you how close the front office was, but only one other person received votes, and that was Paul Castellano of the Braves, who will most likely be taking over the left field duties for the Braves this year. So those 4, but is there anybody that sticks out to you, Germer, that should be a part of this list, or does that seem about right? Chris and BK obviously are going to be 1 and 2.
Well, yeah, I mean, the only thing I worry about BK is his struggles at the plate, bringing him out to the field with him. Hopefully he doesn't slip it all out there. I do think the pulley from the pesky pine trees with the height is almost like he was a pesky pine tree out there himself in center field, and having a very tall guy out there in center field to be able to knock down home runs, I think would be a huge advantage. And he made a nice couple catches in the playoffs over the shoulder out there. So he could be on the watch list as well.
And that is such an interesting thing you brought up, and Matt, because I didn't even think about that till now. I mean, the Yankees, we'll get to the teams in a little bit. They lost John Callaway, and without John Callaway as their left fielder, somebody's gonna have to step up. So you're right. You might see Jackson on the mound, and I don't think they're gonna put Sam Bakula out there. So you got both pulleys that are going to be probably in the field. So those are some trees out there, some pesky pine trees for the Yankees for sure. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for kind of giving those reactions to those. And we're going to run down quickly all of the preseason power rankings. And this is where it gets fun. This is where you can give your reactions to each of those teams. Nobody knows this stuff. Nobody knows who's going to be the 8th seed. Nobody's preseason. Nobody knows who's going to be number 1. It'll be some interesting bets. But real quickly, gun to your head answer, who is going to be the number 8 team that I'm about to reveal? Matt, who's going to be one word?
Marlins.
Cole, who's it going to be?
Marlins.
You both are correct. It is the Marlins. The SWBL Marlins have made their way. Matt, for a second, I thought you were going to say Expos for just a second.
Absolutely not.
So the SWBL Marlins, the brand new team for the SWBL, are coming in at number 8. Now, these guys, like I said, that's their floor. Nobody knows anything about them. They could easily do well, maybe make a 7 or a 6. Is a playoff run likely? Probably not in your first season where 4 guys are coming in as their first season. A playoff run probably is not likely. But could they possibly sneak out a few wins and get to 7 or 6? Maybe. But the Marlins are going to come in at their 8th seed. They have 4 brand new rookies led by Eli Erickson. And guys, I really have nothing a lot to say to them. The only thing I'm going to plug, and since you both agreed, we probably don't have to say if they're too high or too low. They're probably about right where you guys are going to put them. But the only thing I'll say about them is they are going to be our next SWBL podcast. We're going to have Eli Erickson and Luke Bakula on in a podcast this coming week, along with Peter Light as my co-host. And we're going to talk to the Marlins and get to know them a little bit better. So I think after that day, we'll know a little bit more. And their first game against the SWBL Braves is going to be interesting on Saturday. So we'll move right along. I'm going to number 7 right away. And number 7, guys, is coming in. It is your team, Cole, the SWBL Astros, coming in at number 7. And the Astros consistently have never really been pre-ranked to be in the basement, but they've consistently been almost second to last almost every single year. And like I said, this year is completely stacked. And there he is, Kevin, making an appearance. Captain of the Expos, Kevin Wheatucker, makes an appearance on the team. He hasn't heard his name called on the power rankings yet, so I'm sure he's very excited. But the SWBL Astros, guys, led by Brian Benware, the biggest offseason acquisition, obviously, is on this call, and Cole Layton. And the guys that they're keeping are going to give some consistency to this roster that hasn't been had in so many years. And everybody's getting better. Cam Smith is getting better with the new style. Last year, I think even a little bit more was expected of him, but I think Summer League and his experience has shown he's going to get better every year. Jeremy Worrell proved himself completely on the mound as a solid number 2 for the Astros. And then Chris Oberlor and Keaton Adams, always good hitters for their teams, and Keaton can come in relief if needed. But Cole, let's talk about your team for a second. Is this too low for you guys, you think? And if so, what is your ceiling for your team? Like, what do you expect, or what are you expecting out of the Astros in 2020?
I definitely think it's going to be low. I think we are going to shock more people than we can. Like you said, with getting Jeremy, him figuring it out, being number 2, that's going to help a lot.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm going to help on the hitting side and score some runs so we can get wins and hopefully make the playoffs.
Yeah, and Brian Benware has an interesting year on his hand because he has more talent than he's had ever in his career as a captain. And this is his most talented roster. And you got to believe that he's going to have a tough time figuring out what lineup goes to which one. And one lineup mistake could cost a game. And if that lineup mistake happens, then, that could be a whole season. It's going to be a lot of pressure on him, but it's a good problem to have more talent than you've had in the past. So we're excited for the SWBL Astros. And Matt, real quick about the Astros, without thinking, what's going to be their finishing record in 2020? The SWBL Astros.
Well, how many games are we playing?
There's 10, like every year. No reaction, Cole. You just got to let him say it.
I think they're going to be 4-6.
You know what, Matt? You and I have the exact same record down as what they are going to be. I have them at 4-6 as well. So there's no hard feelings on these records that we might put out there, but we're just going to go through each one and maybe give a little spiel about each one. Let's move on to number 6. Thank you guys so much. So number 6 comes in the SWBL Expos. have made their appearance. And I'm sure it doesn't come as much of a surprise. This team has never made playoffs before. They've never won more than 4 games in a season. And do they have the best roster they've ever had? Absolutely. But I think it's one of those things where it's got to be proven before it happens. And the SWBL Expos end up at number 6. And obviously, Matt, this is your team, the biggest acquisition of maybe any team in any offseason ever in the franchise era is Brett Spencer going to the Expos. And they have the best 1-2 punch possibly in history of the SWBL, and Jimmy Nelson and Brett Spencer. And guys, I'll take a little side note here. That's what's crazy about these past 2 teams we've talked about. They have Cam Smith and Jeremy on the Astros, and Jimmy and Brett, who could possibly be 2 of the top 3 rotations in this entire league. And we're talking about them being 6th and 7th in our power rankings. That just shows you how competitive this league is going to be. And all sides of the ball in every game are going to be super important. So, Matt, I'm sure you're going to say this is a low ranking, but what is the Expos ceiling, you think, for this year?
Well, I mean, our aspirations are a championship, obviously. In signing Bretzer is a huge addition to our team. Possibly maybe a little bit of boost out of not having everyone there, and the overall drinking atmosphere and everything that seems to be the downfall of the Expos at some points at some seasons. I mean, we're really looking to make the playoffs this year in the division that we're in. We think we have an opportunity to do so. Kevin's done a phenomenal job putting the team together, and we're really looking forward to get started.
So, Matt, if you make playoffs, say you make the wild card, say you're 4th seed, 5th seed, you make the wild card and you lose the wild card game, is that a win for your team still in 2020?
No, we don't view getting knocked out of the playoffs out and win at all. We're going for the title this year. We've been ranked last every single year and never finished last. And so we're going for it this year. We're going for the whole thing.
And I feel like I'm repeating myself when I say this is the best roster that this franchise has ever had as well. The past 2 teams, best franchise rosters that these guys have had. And I actually have you guys at 5-5. For this year, which in my opinion is good enough to make the playoffs. But Cole, what is first thing that comes to your mind? What's the record of the Expos going to be?
I was thinking 6-4.
There you go, Cole.
Which is a big, a huge pick in my opinion, because that means that you are getting 6 wins on a schedule where you're playing the Rockies twice, and I know that they're going for it. You play the Braves twice. They get to play the Astros twice, and then they have to play all those other teams once. And as Matt said, some might see it as that division might be a little bit easier with the Royals and Athletics combining, the Rockies losing Brett, and then the Expos and Astros getting better. That division could be a dogfight. So it'll be interesting. We might have a lot of splits in that division in those series for sure. So thank you guys so much. The Expos coming in at number 6. That brings us to number 5. The SWBL Braves will be at number 5, the team that's combining the 2 Royals and the 2 Athletics. So this is a team with myself, Gus, Paul Castellano of the A's, and Steve Hayes. So talk about this team for a little bit. This is my team, and we are really excited. Paul used to be on the SWBL Royals. He was on the team for 1 year. We made the playoffs, but we did not win our first playoff game when we had Paul and Ty on our team. And then Steve Hayes, as you all know, in 2016, him and the A's shocked the world. In 2016, they made it to the finals. They were the team that knocked out me, Gus, Paul, and Ty to make it to the championship. The SWBL A's made it to the championship and were very close to winning a championship, unprecedented. And actually, a fun fact of that is, Sam Bakula and Luke Bakula brothers. Sam Bakula told Luke that at the beginning of the season, if the A's won the championship, he would get a tattoo on his butt that said "Shock the World." And oh man, I bet he was sweating bullets in the championship when the A's made it there. But they ended up losing, so no tattoo on Sam's butt for sure. But the Braves are coming in there. It's going to be an interesting year. You got to figure it out. Who's going to play the field? Who's going to pitch for the team? I think I'm going to come in and be our number 1, but Gus and Paul are going to kind of combine to be the number 2. Paul's going to be the main left fielder, and then Gus and I will take over right field and switch off whoever's pitching. The biggest thing I think the key to success for the Braves is going to be Steve Hayes. A little fun fact, and I don't know if anybody knows this or if you saw the league leaders for Summer League, but Steve had the worst batting average of the entire Summer League, which is unheard of for Steve. Steve has consistently been an above 500 hitter for his SWBL A's, but he was 10 points worse than Kevin Weetucker in the batting average department in Summer League. And you got to believe it's a year to forget for Steve. But getting out 4 out of 5 times for your team, for this team, is going to be a huge hindrance. So, Cole, I'll ask you first. What do you think is going to be the key to success for this new team to kind of give that push? Because number 5 is kind of a good spot for them. They, Athletics were 6th last year. They ended, and the Royals were 2nd last year. So kind of got to put them together, and they go a little bit down in the power rankings. So what's going to be the key to success?
I think you just guys got to mesh, figure out, like you said, figure out a lineup, figure out who goes where. That's the biggest thing. Once you can get something solid and routine, that'll get you guys going.
Yeah, and as you guys may have heard, Gus Skibbe is injured as of now. He got injured at Hometown Cup when the Polies and the Skibbies went up to represent the SWBLs, the Pokeballs, and Gus Skibbe falling on his elbow. He is in a little sling. He's been in it for many weeks now and going to the doctor on Monday again for a follow-up. But he has yet to be able to swing a bat two-handed since that tournament. So this could be a huge downfall for the Braves, and many of the front office put him at 5, but many could see them possibly falling off and not making the playoffs this year. Matt, it's your turn. What's the record for the Braves going to be? Tough division.
6 and 4.
So you think they'll tie the same record that Cole gave you guys?
Well, yes, I do.
But you think it's?
I don't think any of those 6 wins would be coming against the Expos. It depends who is on the mound in those games, I think, and it depends really how well Steve's machine knee holds up. I know we've all seen the Dark Knight Rises, and if he has a new knee, it may be able to break him out of that summer league slump that he was in, which would be a big boost for the Braves, I think.
Good point. So we'll see 6 and 4. That is the exact record I had as well for the Braves. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to our number 4 team, and these are going to be the top 4 teams in the league. And at number 4 is going to be the SWBL Rockies. And the Rockies take a fall. They ended in 3rd place last year, but that is obviously with Brett. So they take a step back without Brett, and they lose Grant Boyd in the offseason. Grant Boyd is going to be officiating a wedding in Kansas City and will not be able to make it unless he shows up on Sunday afternoon and possibly on Monday to get their full roster back. But guys, this is a roster with Grant Boyd that has won a championship without Brett before. They've won a championship. With Brett, they won another one, obviously. But this is a team that could make a run, could surprise some people. But this is also a team that could drop out and not make the playoffs. If Mike Patterson, their new rookie, doesn't hit or doesn't do well, and their pitching doesn't live up to the expectations that they hope it does with Breida and Blake as their 1-2, this team could be hurting quickly. So, Matt, I know you know a lot of these guys on the Rockies. What do you think is going to be their biggest key to success to stay at number 4 or possibly do a little bit better?
Well, it's going to really come down to their pitching. In my opinion, they're ranked about 8 spots too high in the power rankings right now. Breida has had some good stuff. Like he's injury prone, getting out there on the mound, pitch after pitch after pitch. It's most likely he's going to end injured. And I question the team. One of the key players is missing the entire season almost for a wedding. So after losing Brett, you gotta kind of wonder what's going on there with the Rockies.
Yeah, and many people might say the same thing. But when it comes to Blake Spencer getting more at bats, I think that's going to be their biggest positive. Is Blake's gonna hopefully be a monster this year for the Rockies and give them that boost that they need. And Cole, we'll move on to you too with the Rockies. But what do you think is going to be their record? And are they ranked too high? Do you think the front office got it wrong? Do you think they're too high with being in a division with the Astros and the Expos and the new combination team of the Braves? I mean, this is a tough division. Are they kind of in the doghouse when it comes to? They got a lot of important series against them. So do you think it's too high? And what do you think is going to be their finishing record on the year?
Yeah, I think they might be a spot or two too high just with the losses, and just gonna have to figure it out, see what happens when they go in the first couple days and figure it all out. But I'm gonna go with 5-5.
5-5. There you go. And that would be the first time, the Rockies, little fun fact for you guys, the Rockies are the only team in SWBL franchise history that have made the playoffs in every single franchise year. Could this be the first year that they don't make it? This might be a tough division to make it out of. So we'll see. Rockies have a fun season ahead of them and a lot of game of the days, a lot of live streams coming from the Rockies just to see what they can do. So now we get to our top three. Top three in this are going to be, obviously we have the Brewers, the Twins, and the Yankees still left to go. And three teams that have made the playoffs in the past many years. And we have two of these teams have won a championship recently. But number three coming in is going to be the SWBL Brew Crew, the Brewers coming in at number three. And I know you guys have seen them in Summer League, and Matt, you've seen them in many years prior. The Expos and Brewers have a special relationship with John Light and Peter Light, especially at kind of the helms of those teams. And you have the Brewers that are known for their beer drinking. They're known for that camaraderie. They're known to be that franchise of the year team. But this year with COVID, it comes a little bit interesting. Could we see the Brewers a tad bit sober, more sober than they're used to? And could they possibly make a better run at winning a championship? And also, due to some scheduling concerns, the Brewers actually don't have any early games as well. Could that be a positive for them, and could that help them out? Who knows? But let's start with you, Cole. You've got to kind of see Peter play, and you got to be a teammate with PG. What's going to be the biggest key to success for the Brewers to keep that number three? And could they possibly, in your opinion, be a championship team for the first time in history of their franchise?
I think the key is PG, really. If PG can pitch like he did in the summer, he's going to lead them to the playoffs, and they could definitely make a good run at it. Like you said, and no drinking will probably help them. It'll always help about anybody. But
they'll drink still, just maybe not as much.
Well, yeah, just not. They'll be somewhat more sober. But yeah. I think PG is a big key. He showed he could pitch, and if he can do that, I think they got a chance.
Yep. And Matt, they're bringing Derek Cornell back, who came last year, and he played in about 4 or 5 games last year for them and did really, really well. He's Kyle's little brother. So they're going to be their 4 players that are going to be the key. And their biggest loss for their team is David Olderman. And Olderman, who would be playing on the Astros, but unfortunately cannot make it this year. He will be with his family in Denver where he lives, doesn't want to make the trip out, and obviously a big out-of-state player. So won't be allowed to come this year. But David Olderman, exciting little tidbit, David will be singing our national anthem for us virtually for everybody. So look out for that video coming on opening day around noon. We'll have that national anthem being played for everybody to view while you're at work getting ready for season 18. But, Matt, you've seen this team play and you've seen all the different successes, and they have probably, in my opinion, one of the best big three in Peter, PG, and Kyle. On both sides of the ball, everywhere in the field, hitting, pitching, these three. But every single year, their MO is they all can't mesh together and do it at the same time. It seems like one person's leading them and 2 of them they falter in that game. And then the next game, it's a different person. But is this the year where they can all mesh together and make a championship run? And what is going to be their final record, Matt?
I think their final record is going to be 8-2. I like the Brewers. I think they're a pretty good squad. Obviously, Peter's a phenomenal fielder, phenomenal leadoff hitter, and PG is probably going to be one of the best pitchers in the league this year. I don't know. The early games, not having early games, may actually work against them. You can't get that kind of hungover base going into the next day and start drinking again to just get that good base going completely for the next day. So, I do have a little bit of concerns about them actually becoming hungover and then trying to have to fight drinking into the next day. But we'll see what they can do. Obviously, they're known for certain things, and hopefully that works out for them.
What's going to be their final record? Oh, 8-2. You said it. My fault. Yes. 8-2 would be a big step up for this team. They have finished at one point, the Brewers in their career finished 9-1, and that is their best regular season. They made it to the finals once, and they are looking to make it back there again. They've consistently been a wild card team and either lost in the wild card game or have won but then lost in the very next round. So unfortunately for the Brewers, they haven't quite gotten that taste of the championship again, but I do think that this year will be a good year for them as well. All right, we got our top two teams, and these two teams are the last two teams to win a championship in the SWBL. And coming in at number 2 is going to be our SWBL Twins. You have 5 great players: Spencer Bogad, Will Rath, Chris Metter, who has consistently been one of the most successful players and captains in SWBL history. You have Edlo Donnan, the big guy that everybody loves or loves to hate. And you also have Corey McCarthy joining them from the Royals, was the National Rookie of the Year and is jumping ship from the Royals and going to play on a team with his former roommate, Chris Metter. And it's going to be a good fit for Corey McCarthy on that team, especially when this team will not have all 5 players there together for most of the weekend. So they will consistently have 4, but Spencer Bogad missing a few games, Chris Metter with a baptism for his niece that he has to attend, Will Rath not coming for Friday, and Edlo, whose wedding unfortunately got canceled, but his reception got canceled, but we are excited that he can be there for a full season now. And they probably have the weirdest schedule out of any team in SWBL history. They have 2 games on Friday for opening day. They have back-to-back games at the earliest we've ever played, 7 a.m. and 7:45 on Saturday, their request. And then they also have 4 games on Sunday, and they're one of 2 teams that has 2 games on Monday of playoffs. Just to accommodate Spencer Bogad and a few other players on their team, they had the most scheduling concerns, but we got in the best we could. It's going to be an interesting year for the Twins, but they still have loaded talent. They have loaded talent, especially when it comes to the hitting. But obviously one of their biggest concerns is probably going to be pitching. But Cole, you saw Spencer Bogad straight up in playoffs of Summer League, but is that going to be the key to their success, is pitching?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously they can hit, so if they can get a little bit of pitching and just outscore whoever they're playing, they'll be good to go.
You know, the Twins have recently won a championship, and they've won championships with 2 players from out of town. They won a championship with Tyler Flackney, who played 2 years in the SWBL, was very successful. And then they won a championship with Jimmy Cole. And Jimmy Cole, very prominent hitter in the national scene, and really helped them lead them in the playoffs to their championship. And this year they're adding another addition in Corey McCarthy. And as the saying goes, when the Royals get rid of a player and then he goes to a team, that team wins the championship. So Matt, will the Twins make a run at the championship? And then I will go back to Cole for the record.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously the Twins are a really good team. I think they could definitely make a run for the championship. I wonder if the schedule, it almost seems a little bit like tampering to me, requesting very early games. I could see them going to bed at 9 o'clock the previous night, looking for that competitive advantage over their opponents. So I wonder if that could play a factor into the season, possibly. Maybe some early birds on that squad looking to take advantage of that. And so you could see them making the playoffs and making a run at it once they get in.
And Matt, with Spencer Bogad missing 4 games, Spencer Bogad will be gone for 4 games. Can this team still be competitive with the roster they still have?
Yeah, I think that probably actually helps them a little bit. Spencer's a decent hitter. He throws really slow, and a lot of people take him out of the yard. So I think that actually may work to their advantage.
All right. And then, Cole, we'll end with you. What's going to be the record for the Twins?
I'm going to go 7-3.
That is also what I have the Twins at. And I tell you what, out of all my records, and I'll kind of go through it at the end, obviously we know the Yankees are going to be the number 1 team, the only team left here. But out of all my teams, I have 2 teams at 7-3. And that is the highest record I have, which is crazy because we've always had a team that has 8 or 9 wins or 10 wins in a season. And this would, for what I think is so evenly matched, 7, I think, is going to be the ceiling for any team this year to hopefully get towards. But Let's move on. Yankees, number one team, defending champions. They last year rolled through teams in the playoffs. They are the first team ever in SW history to win 3 playoff games. They came from the wild card. They beat the Brewers in the wild card game. Then they played and beat the Twins, and then the Rockies, and then they beat the Royals in the championship. So a great year for the Yankees, hitting on all cylinders, pitching on all cylinders, and their biggest loss is going to be John Callaway. They lose that lefty side of the plate when they're hitting, and they lose their left fielder. So it'll be an interesting transition year for the Yankees, but the front office voted for them, obviously, because they still have that power with the Poli twins and Sam Bakula. And Jackson Crosley, even though he's seen as the pitcher most of the time, when he gets the hitting chances, he does pretty well with contact, and when he goes yard, it's just a huge boost for that team as well, and a big supporter for their team that definitely needs to do well. But Matt, what is the key to success with John being gone for this Yankees team to make another run at back-to-back championships?
Well, I mean, obviously with John being gone, someone's going to have to fill that role of the USA shorts to wear. I'm not sure who that's going to be. Yeah. I think they're a pretty good squad. The Polies, I think, in the outfield would be really good. Just, I mean, essentially swatting down every home run ball because they're 7 to 7.5 feet tall each. But it really relies on Crosby kind of taking them to the pitching, I guess, throughout the playoffs, and then the Polies hitting home runs. I mean, they have a good team where it's going to be tough for the Expos to face them in the championship.
Oh yeah, there you go. And Cole, you know, they're in a division led by the top 3 teams preseason power rankings are in the same division. So you have the top 3 teams and the last pre-ranked team in the same division. And the Yankees have a tough road ahead of them with 2 games against the Brewers and 2 games against the Twins. And without John Callaway, you know, they have Jackson Crosley need to step up. Kevin Poli wasn't at playoffs last year. He'll step up. But you've seen it firsthand at Summer League and with Scott Poli as kind of your makeshift captain for your team, the Hot Tub Club in Summer League. Scott is one of the best number 2 pitchers in the league when it comes down to it. Is Scott the key to success, their catalyst for this team that needs to roll? Because if he has a bad day, I don't know if their team's going to make it out of a day.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. If he does have a bad day, because they're going to have trouble getting enough runs to win a game. Hopefully with them having the Marlins in their division, they can get a couple wins from the unexperienced team and not pitch Jackson or figure out a way anyway. And then from the heart, obviously they have a bunch of tough games, so they can go with Jackson and Scott there.
And the Yankees historically have one day in their season that is terrible, where they lose more games than they win historically. And that's why they were a wild card team last year, but then they got hot on Monday because they were one of the best hitting teams. But they usually get really cold in one day, and I really hope it's not one of their days, because in one of their days they have 5 games. So in one of their 5-game days, if they're cold and they go cold that day with their bats, that could be a rough day for them. Let's go with both of you. Cole, record, what's the Yankees going to be?
I'm going to go with 7-3 as well.
Matt, what do you think?
Well, I don't know how the mathematics work out based off all my other answers, but I'll go 8-2 on this one.
That's why I've been trading off between you two, so that nobody can count our math for sure. But thank you guys so much for going through those power rankings, and thank you everybody, front office, for voting on all of those different things. It's going to be an exciting year, and to be honest with you, it'll be really interesting to see at the end of the year if any of these preseason power rankings are correct. If anything's going to be correct, it's going to be 1 off or 2 off, but some of these could be 6 off for all we know. It is going to be a very interesting year, but thank you all for listening, and congratulations to all of our teams preseason. But we all know preseason don't mean anything in this league, or in any league for that matter. But let's move on and get out of here, guys. Real quick, last predictions. The divisions for this year, as I said, the first division, we have the Glendale, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram division. We have that division led by the Yankees, of course, our defending champions, and the Twins and the Brewers coming in at preseason 2 and 3, and then at number 8, the Marlins. Cole, let's start with you. Who's going to win this division?
I think the Yankees are going to pull that one out.
Yankees. Matt, who do you got?
I got the Brewers.
Brewers, very good. 2 differences. I like that. And you know what? I'm just going to make it fun. I'm going to pick the Twins. So boom, there you go. 3 of us have different picks. So let's move on to the other division. This division includes the SWBL Braves, the Rockies, and then both of your teams, the Astros and the Expos. We could really see a dogfight in this division, as I said earlier. But let's kind of go through, and let's do this. You can't pick your own team to win the division. So I guess for the question, who's going to get second then, if you think your team's going to get first? So Matt, we'll start with you. Who do you got besides the Expos? Who's going to be the best or second best in this division?
I would say the Astros probably.
Astros. Cole, who do you got?
I like that. I'll go Expos. Their pitching is just unbelievable.
Very
There you
good.
go, Cole.
And I know I said we couldn't pick our team to win, so maybe I'll pick our team to win second.
Oh, okay.
Since you guys picked each other, I wanted to include our team. So second, one of you guys can get first. All right. So with that being said, now you can pick anybody. Who is going to win the championship for the SWBL? Just because you win your division, that doesn't mean anything. If you get hot on Monday, you can roll through anybody. Ask Chris Meadow. That's what he did with all of his teams when they win a championship. Regular season doesn't matter, but if you get hot in the playoffs, you could do it. So we'll start with you, Cole. Who do you got winning the SWBL season 18?
I mean, I got to go with the Astros. We're going to pull it out. We're going to upset people. We're going to shock the world this year.
All right, very good. And Matt?
I mean, I got to go with the Astros, too. I mean, they're going to shock the world this year and pull it out. How can I?
So there's 2 votes right there for the Astros. Brian Benware will be ecstatic. He's going to hear that and be very excited. And I myself, I'm going to go with the pick. I'm going to go with Peter Light and the Brewers. I think Peter gets his first championship this year. I think PG and Kyle have a fantastic year on the mound. So I'm going to go with the Brewers, and you got to believe America's team's got to win one of these times. So SWBL Brewers is my pick for the championship. So, let's say goodbye and get out of here. I want to thank Matt Germer and Cole Layton for joining me today. 2 new voices, and I hope you enjoyed them as much as I did, all of our listeners and viewers out there. Thank you so much. You can view this on YouTube once we upload it, either tonight or tomorrow. And then I want to thank them so much for joining me. But, Cole, is there anything you want to say for your team, or, exciting predictions, or anything you want to say about the league or anything like that?
I'm just excited to get out there. I know it's not the same as last year, but we're still gonna have a good weekend, have a lot of fun. I'm just excited to play some wiffle ball.
Very good. What about you, Matt? Any news of Shantytown? Any big additions coming this year?
No, I mean, the Expos have a pretty good plan as far as between games and everything. My only thoughts is, I mean, we're definitely all looking forward to it, and it should be, with everyone kind of not being allowed to have fun this year. This might be a bright spot in the thing. The last thing I'd like to say is I hope everyone's cheering on the Blues. We're starting in 15 minutes, game 6. So let's try to pull that one out, boys.
Definitely. That was one of the last things I had was going to be go Blues, but yeah, you said it first. And we're Shantytown for the Expos is always an exciting adventure, but I hope you guys still do Shantytown. It just will be a socially distant Shantytown for sure. But I want to thank all of our sponsors as well, our division sponsors, Ketting Ice Center and Glendale Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. There will also our oil change if you hit a home run into the Jeeps. We actually have 2 Jeeps this year. I bought a Jeep from Glendale Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram after last season. So myself and my father both have Jeeps from our sponsor, and it will be down there. If you hit it in and it stays in the Jeep, you get a free oil change from Glendale Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. And we also have our press conference sponsor in Cardinal Blinds, Dick's Sporting Goods as well. Thank you for being a loyal sponsor. Ruben Brown bringing back our philanthropy event. And this year, with K's for Buddies Not a Thing, we will actually be supporting our Operation Food Search this year, the SWBL Food Bank. So thank you so much for Ruben Brown for supporting our philanthropy. Our Strikeout Hunger this year will be our new claim to fame when we ring the bell for Ruben Brown. And then we also want to thank Spencer Gear, Breckx, all of their family of businesses. Thank you for everybody that ordered apparel. And we have SWBL towels and koozies, double-sided logo, and car decals as well available on the season. I want to thank Andy's Frozen Custard, Daily Smokehouse Barbecue, Cooper's Hawk Winery, and Gold's Gym as well. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. For Cole Layton and Matt Germer, let's go Blues. I'm Sam Skibbe. We'll see you later. Season 18 coming at you in 2 weeks. See you.
See you, Sam.
Yeah, guys.